A lot of people have asked us, can we mark forks and spoons with the Stamp Perfect machine? And the answer is yes. Actually, it makes it much easier than trying to align the hand stamp, hit it with a hammer, and hold everything in line, because they are odd shapes and they are a little difficult to mark. But you can get some very nice marks, and it almost looks like it's printed on there with this machine. It holds it in place for you and keeps it in line. What I like to do is start out with whatever piece that you're going to mark, and it doesn't matter what size fork or spoon. But I like to put a piece of tape across here, and I also like to, with a Sharpie, to mark the center, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the center letter, or the middle of the word. I'm going to put a 5-letter word on here. I'm just going to say stamp. So for that reason, I'm going to have the A right in the middle, and that's where I'm going to start. And then I'm going to mark the MP to the right and the ST to the left, and I'm going to show you how to do that. The reason, what we'll do first of all, of course, is put our A stamp in the holder. It goes in there quickly, and I've already set the height and the depth. Setting up the machine is shown in the previous videos, so if you need some help with that, you might want to refer back to that one. And what I'm going to do is get this to where you can see it a little better. We're going to bring the stamp down onto the piece itself, and we're going to try to center that on that fork the best we can here. Now, what I'm also doing, and I made a little sketch here to show how I center that on there. And I just got enough, I just put the head down far enough to hold it in place. As you can see, it's centered and it's square. And what's nice, it's always going to be absolutely flat there where we're putting pressure. It's going to be nice and even, so you're not going to have to re-stamp a letter because you hit the top or the bottom of it. And just, this is showing a spoon. Of course, the fork is the same way. But with your tape, we're going to start with the A, and then we're going to mark left and right of that. And as a demonstration of how to align it, what I like to do, all the stamps, at least the majority of the manufacturer's stamps out there, are normally tapered to the point of the stamp, or to the character of the stamp. And we're going to use that. This circle around the M is going to represent that taper. And what we are going to do, we're going to mark our A, first of all, also using the taper on the baseline of the tape to give us our starting point. And then when we move the fork to the next position, we're going to use the bottom and the side to space and mark on the same line. We're going to continue to put our bottom of the character, bottom of the taper to the tape, and the side of the taper to the previous character. And we can do that on both sides, and that way it's going to be spaced out correctly. And I'll show you how to do that here. I've got that on there. I've got this in line with me, so it's nice and square. I'm going to push my tape down. And what I also like to do, because it's a fork, we can do this. We can put a little extra tape up here. Of course, not in the marking area. But we can push that down there, so we can still lift the head up. We can still index this to the next marking position, just like this. So let's go ahead and mark the first A. I'll lighten that up a little bit because that's a little too heavy. And now we're going to index to the next position, and this is where you're going to take your stamp, and as I said, we're going to put that little circle right here, right against our bottom of our A, and that's going to make the M. And we're going to do the same thing here with the P. Put it close to the M. And you can tell how quiet it is. It doesn't make a lot of, you're not going to get the big thud. And on this side we're going to do the same thing in reverse. We're going to spot the face of the stamp next to the A. And our final stamp, the S. And that's got that one. And try to get it up here where you can see that, and as you can see, it looks like it's been printed on there. And of course you can fill it with a black magic marker later and make it stand up a little bit. Now we're going to do the same thing with a spoon. We're going to mark our center, and again that's where we're going to start. Now spoons are a little different because they're going to rotate on you and they're going to move back and forth. So what we want to do on that, we're going to strictly rely on the machine holding it for you, and we're going to have to position it not only next to the character left and right, but we're also going to have to position the bottom of the characters on the tape as the guide. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our A in first, and again we're going to bring this down so we put the center of that stamp on that mark, and the bottom of the little taper of the stamp on the tape. Now I don't have my hands on it, of course, and you can see that it'll hold it in place here. I just brought the head down enough just to hold it. And what I'd also like to do on these, once you put it in position, is I like to tape the table. I don't want this one to move left and right now because we're going to have to move the spoon in order to get the second characters left and right like this and pivot it. So let's go ahead and mark our first stamp here. Alright, there's our A. Now our M. Now, just like we did with the fork, we're going to put the side of that stamp taper against the A, but this time we have to set the bottom of the taper toward the tape, because this is where we want to make sure it's in a straight line. So I've got it pinched there, and you can tell it's got it nicely held. And you can mount this, which would help if there are mounting holes in the back of the base plate, so you can put it on a table, and I'm using it without mounting it, so that's why I'm holding it back here, just to make sure that we get a nice firm mark. And we'll put the P on here, and again we're going to pivot the spoon, and we're going to find the bottom of the tape with the taper and the side of the M with the taper. And now we're going to work backwards. We're going to start from the left hand side of the A and put the T on here. And you might have to just play with it for a little while until you get it where you want it, and then you can turn it loose. And finally the S. And there you go. Put a stamp on there. I hope you can see that. It does do a really nice job putting it in a straight line. And you can do all kinds of things with this. Different kinds of forks and spoons. It doesn't matter. It'll do any of them. And it's very consistent. And you can even do multiple lines, and I've done that on this one. So these machines are available at www.steelstamps.com.